This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Roman Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast. Today I have with me Nicole Rodrigues. Nicole is an award-winning CEO and author of Beverly Hills Boss, the book, and host of Beverly Hills Boss, the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, great question. Well, as you know, that I've given you a heads up before, I'm the oldest of 9 kids. So I feel like leadership was something that I was destined to do. Almost like I didn't have a choice. So I feel like I've been guiding millennials my whole life. Being a Gen Xer, all of my siblings fall into that category. So I was kind of running the house as co-captain of my mom for a while. And so it was a very natural progression for me to just want to do well in my career as a PR and marketing practitioner, but not just do well. And I wanted to lead. So when I got into college, in my undergrad, my broadcast journalism professor had recommended I take a PR 101 class. I had never heard of PR. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that at some point in high school, when I was thinking about college majors, I thought, well, maybe I could get into broadcast journalism, but I really, in a dream career, it would involve marketing, journalism, which includes writing, strategy, leadership, which I love. And so PR fell on my lap by way of my college professor who thought, well, I think you could be great in broadcast journalism, but I think you should try this first and let me know. So I took PR 101 and I fell in love. I was just a few weeks into the course and I found my calling. It encompassed everything that I loved. And I believed in the trade as a whole. When my professor was explaining to me what PR could do, how it was done, how she had done it, I was inspired and I thought I really want to be known as a leader in this field and eventually have my own firm, right? I'm going to learn a lot. And when I feel like I'm ready, I am going to have my own company and I'm going to really show people how to appreciate PR the way I appreciate it. And so was the beginning of my journey. And about 13 years into my career, I had gone from, tech intern to account coordinator to working at the Oakland Raiders, now soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. I went from tech to taking an internship there to try my luck in sports and entertainment PR and found that I actually did well in PR in multiple industries. So then I got into digital entertainment and just grew through the ranks, finally became vice president of digital entertainment at a pretty large PR firm here in Los Angeles, where I was managing strategy and PR and teams for Hulu and YouTube and MGO and a lot of other prominent companies. And my confidence at that point was raised. I was like, wow, I'm doing really well. These companies trust me. We're executing plans that are getting really incredible results. I think I'm ready. And so in 2014, registered my company, officially launched it in June of 2014. And here we are just about 6 years later.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think PR and, other kind of disciplines are changing. And how has PR changed in the last few years with kind of the advancement of technology? And how is it changing with the current landscape in terms of the pandemic as well?
Yeah, what I'm finding here is that a lot of people are starting to get more of an appreciation for the impact really good and clear communications can have on an industry or, for a company. So the pandemic has gone a little bit both ways, to be honest. There are some clients who are unfortunately seeing hardships right away because of the way their businesses are structured, and this whole forced virtual situation, have layoffs, and a few of them have had cutbacks. And then there are a few of them that are like, wow, we need to double up on what's going on communication-wise, because we need to stay alive. We need people to understand that we are still moving forward. We need people to have confidence in who we are. So we've also had a lot of inbound new business requests because of that, because there were some companies that really didn't think much of their communication or marketing and thought, oh, well, I've got a good product. We'll see if we can let it sell itself. And realizing that in order to really cut through the clutter, you have to have a clear and good communications and marketing strategy, especially around a pandemic. Like, people are going to worry, they're going to panic, and you need to be able to reach them as human beings and help calm their fears, and also know that if you have a product or some sort of service that can help them, look at Zoom. Zoom would have never imagined this amount of a pickup right away, right? And companies like Zoom need to double down on their PR, their communications overall, and their strategy, simply because there are a lot more people relying on them than they had ever imagined at once. So I think the companies that really get it are making good decisions when it comes to communications and their marketing overall to keep consumer confidence and trust up.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people are becoming more accessible with the current situation. So I know myself and other podcasters have a lot easier access to people that may have not have gotten so easily on their shows, and reaching their publicists and different other contacts to get them on a show in terms of an interview, because a lot of those people had a lot of live events planned and live speaking engagements and keynotes, and majority of them were, canceled. Some of them moved virtually. So the void has to be filled some way. So it's kind of a adaptation of the environment in terms of moving into the audio space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, it's all about pivoting and understanding that marketing isn't just done one way. There are so many channels and avenues to do it. And just because one door closes doesn't mean a window can't open, and you have to keep after it, and not just give up. Otherwise, then you're closing doors along with other businesses. And now's not the time for that, right? We need to keep this country going, and the best way to do that is for as many of us to be working as humanly possible and getting good messages out there.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I think it's a mindset shift and a pivot. So when you run into something that's tough, like obviously you're not in control of this situation and basically the country for the most part at a standstill, but figuring out if you are a business to move things online, obviously some are brick and mortar and on-site businesses or services that are struggling, but positioning yourself or getting your business through this time, if you are that type of business, but still, like you said, putting out your message, your core values, and setting yourself up when you do get out of it so people know who you are and what you're about and what you can do for them.
Oh, that's so important. So important. And even for people who were laid off and in the back of their mind always had this idea for a business they wanted to start, maybe a podcast they wanted to start, now's the time. It's not time for us to throw up our hands. Now's the time to understand that there are so many tools at our disposal, free ones at that. You can get on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn with regards to a business or a new business or whatever it is. And there's no stopping you from how many posts and things that you're putting up and letting people know about the good works and services that you're offering. I'm even helping good friends of mine who are now thinking of like these small business ideas that they would have never found the time to pull together had this not happened. So we've got to, as a human race, figure out all of the productive ways to use the time and the free resources for marketing that we can and lean on the friendships that we have for other areas of growing our business and advice.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a perfect time to add as much value or be a resource, not necessarily also for compensation. I do a lot of stuff in terms of pro bono, but since I've done that over the years, not even in this kind of pandemic situation, those rewards come in situations you don't even know about. I mean, having some like a driven focused or a, giving back focus in terms of leaving a legacy. When I switched that kind of mindset from my 20s to my 30s, it's exponentially grown my business and kind of my reach and my brand in that sense in terms of adding value.
Absolutely. I mean, and to your point, so many, I can picture so many things in my head that from my 20s to 30s absolutely made a shift as well. I think that with more experience comes a deeper level of just understanding of life sometimes overall, and priority shifting. And I think within our 20s, we all went through crazy struggles and, times of making tough decisions. And hopefully by the time we get into our 30s and even our 40s, career-wise, we are hopefully making better decisions at that point and have more confidence in our own skill sets to be able to push those things forward. And that's where, true leadership can come from as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also a development of your emotional IQ and developing emotional empathy to situations and people. And that helps you out in terms of kind of who you are and how you project yourself.
Absolutely. Oh, man. And I'm happy that you said that. I think so many leaders forget that you can only learn so much in school with regards to, math and English and all of that other stuff. But it's those soft skills, that emotional IQ that will come in handy when you're a leader and people are in a panic and you're in the middle of a pandemic and they're hoping that they're not going to get laid off and they're hoping that they're still going to have a job, after this is done. So being able to communicate clearly, again, back to communication, but also have a sense of empathy and courage at the same time. I mean, that's really where your emotional intelligence is going to be needed and hopefully kick in.
Yeah, I agree. And those soft skills aren't necessarily naturally taught. So it's either you have it or you have to kind of do a really good job in terms of building habits to develop those. When I often hired people, a lot of the times I would hire people with kind of passion and drive and have a higher emotional IQ over people that were, traditionally, technically in the sense of schooling, had more schooling, more degrees, had that technical prowess, but that's something that you can learn. That, emotional soft skill is hard to monetize in terms of value because it's so valuable and hard to find.
Oh, absolutely. And believe me, I'm sure you've met a lot of CEOs through your podcast, and I've met a lot of CEOs that I work with just simply because of my line of work. I have to work with the visionary to understand how to then communicate the vision to the world. But there are some CEOs I just won't work with. And I don't even think that they understand that their soft skills or their EQ is so off that they're losing opportunities in people that they could work with, right? I've gotten on the phone with some who are they're talking about all their degrees and how much they know. And, oh, well, I know more than your average CEO. So I just need you to do X, Y, Z for me. And, please don't bother me. I have an important company to run kind of thing. And I'm just thinking, you have no empathy in your soul. I don't know how people are working for you right now. And I certainly will not. Like, I just can't, I won't do that. It's just, and I know the gift that, my team, when we really get behind a company, man, they see results. And for me to, I've fired clients when I've seen certain things, certain insensitivities towards employees. I mean, I had a client where I was going in once a week to help them out because they were struggling with finding new people in their marketing department. And I'll be honest, the CEO decided that he wanted to sit in the middle of the open area just to watch his employees and how many times they go to the kitchen during the day. And he would have really important business conversations about layoffs. And mind you, people are sitting in this open area. They're walking in and out of this open area. And, smart guy, engineer, whatever. And as soon as I got a glimpse of that sort of there was just no empathy there at all. And I'm thinking, if I work at this company, I'm terrified of whether or not I'm part of this layoff. He literally just openly said. And, there were a couple of other things that just happened. And to me, I was like, you know what? No, that was just the final straw for me. I had to let them go. And that was a pretty big client. But I can't stand behind a leader who doesn't understand that it doesn't matter what's going on in your mind and how smart you are because of the degrees that you've earned. When it comes to a time where people are panicked and they need to feel like they can get behind a mission of a company or behind a company in general, they should not have to walk in fear or even think that they're being monitored in terms of how many times they're going to the kitchen to eat. I can't. And it's crazy how many quote unquote brilliant executives. I mean, I have a great client who's a friggin' rocket scientist, just completely brilliant to the core, and has such a high level of emotional intelligence. I will get behind him in everything that he does, everything, because that's the type of leader that I believe in. So it just, it goes to show that having that lack of emotional intelligence can also, you don't realize what you can lose in terms of support and other people who will get behind you.
Yeah, I agree. And you get to a certain point, either in your career or growing your company where that becomes a fruition. So sometimes when you start a business, you have to take clients. You may not agree with them to get to a certain point and, pay payroll and get to the next level. But when you get to the point of your company where you have the luxury to align every client with your core values and make the tough decisions in terms of if they don't materialize in terms of some of the things like negative behaviors that, aren't ethics and core value related to your personal self and your business, you have kind of the luxury, at least the decision of making that choice of, letting them go or figuring out how to fix the situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to get more leaders to get to that point. I don't know if it's you see a failure and maybe you learn from it and you realize, man, maybe I should, work on my soft skills. Maybe I should get some leadership training. To be honest, like the example of the first CEO, I wanted to leave a leadership book on his desk anonymously and just be like, please read this. You are failing in terms of being a leader and you shouldn't be leading people. You need to hire a different CEO and you should just be like raising money or something. Because he was very dismissive too. And you don't learn these things until you really, really see them often. It wasn't until I was physically at the office regularly until I really, really saw it. I had a feeling. After I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, no, I can't. And hopefully one day soon, it's not going to come to a screeching halt. He'll learn sooner rather than later so that he can keep his amazing company going. The mission of the company is incredible, but that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I agree. So what motivates you to succeed?
I really think setting an example has always been a driver for me. I don't know why. I would say it started when I was young, and for some reason, I really wanted my siblings to understand that in life, doing the right thing has its good payoffs, even when it feels like it's the scary thing to do, and that you can benefit more in life by doing things in that way and leading by example. Yeah, so it was just always in my my soul, my fiber, I guess, to want to lead by example. And mind you, not all my siblings did. It was always, you have some of those rebellious ones who are like, oh yeah, Cole, you think you know everything. Well, I'm going to do it my way. And God bless my siblings. I love them to death. But I was like, okay, just you see. Oh, you're going to make it through high school without studying, are you? Did you find the magic pill to give all of your teachers that, the vision to just pass you in every class without really trying? Or, I would giggle, but I really did want to set an example. And so I just said, and this was even to friends too, who would constantly tell me, well, Nicole, you're too nice. You can't be a leader if you're going to be nice. Sharks, you got to be a shark in life. And I'm thinking, we're 13. What kind of shark do you think I can be? And I kept telling myself, if this leadership style to me that feels so natural to, be leading my siblings and our household and school. I ended up being our very first in my high school female student body president. And I did it by being nice. And I did it by being, popular in a way that didn't involve skipping class and being cool and doing drugs and drinking. It was quite the opposite. It was seeing people for who they were, listening to them, accepting them for all different skill sets and levels that they were, whether they were the ones skipping class or the ones who were the mathletes. You see people as human beings. And I found that it worked. And I wanted to continue that in my professional career. So, studying in college and then just growing in my professional career and now leading. And I'll tell you, there are days that I can't be nice. I have to be very, very firm, where it's like, hey, you're effing up and someone needs to tell you that. This is called tough love and you need to fix this. And I'm here to fix it with you. Now I can do that, right? But leading by example, I feel like is the only way to really get other people to see that leadership and accountability are everything. And you can get people behind you to do just about anything. You want to use that for good. And I think I do that also so that I can sleep well at night, knowing somehow, some way, someone is watching and it can learn from this. And I've just found that it's benefited me. So why not try to share this so that other people can benefit in life as well through example?
Yeah, and it's one of those things, growing and kind of building a company and getting to your goals by helping others around you and, helping others succeed. Because there's two mantras, kind of building to the tallest it can be and knocking everybody down. Like, you don't want anybody else around you, or you can, have empathy and be genuine and genuinely help people around you. And, with the mindset of there's kind of plenty of work and plenty of stuff for everybody around you, and doing it the right way and taking kind of the right path, like you said, pays dividends more so than having that kind of standoffish, I can only succeed and nobody else mentality.
That comes from a place of insecurity and fear. It really does. And I mean, just watching it through life, you can tell the leaders who don't believe that there's room at the top for everyone are doing so because they feel like, one, someone's going to sniff them out, find them out, and they're not going to follow me, and I'm not going to be successful. The ones who have the mindset of abundance, where there is room at the top for everyone, and not just everyone, right? There are people who I truly do believe are happy not being the leader. They're just happy following direction and supporting the leader, and that's totally okay as well. I think we need everyone in order for these things to grow. So it doesn't need to be where fear should lead. And I think that a lot of the people who do that, I found it's just based on personal insecurity. That's really what it is, and a fear of loss, and if they were to just realize that the more they work with others and support others, they will hold you up. They will hold you up as a leader. And I found that I'm so blessed to have my team, but I support them. I tell them, look, I'm not afraid to pass everything in my brain down to you, because guess what that means? the faster you take what's in my brain and you apply it and you add your own and you grow, the faster I can just become chairman of this company and golf. And you guys can run it. So I kind of joke with them about it. I'm like, hey, the CEO position is open. And one of you guys I will happily pass it when I feel like one of you guys can take it and continue running it in the way that our clients love and deserve, and as well as our employees. And they just laugh at me because I'm like, man, you guys don't think I want to not have to work 14-hour days? Of course I do. I will happily pass the leadership position down. So
yeah, and I think it's getting to a point of kind of being secure and having people develop certain skill sets that they can take over. And like you said, then your business can run smoothly and you can kind of take yourself out to work on other projects or work on the parts of the business that you're passionate about. Because to begin with, oftentimes people are kind of scared to let go in terms of worrying about people doing something wrong, or just, being scared of, I can only do this. This is my skill set. But when you kind of delegate out and you start trusting people, I think that business starts to really flourish.
I agree. And I've seen that in motion, really, really seen it in motion. And just speaking from experience, where there were some employees that early on, you bring in and you learn, I think, better how to identify what works for you and your team over time. And I think I was less picky in the beginning, thinking, oh, I can teach anyone PR. What I didn't realize is that I couldn't teach them emotional intelligence, confidence, and skills that if they didn't pick up in college, oh man, that it led to certain insecurities about what it was I knew they could take on. And I knew it probably didn't make them feel great, but when I'm correcting one paragraph 7 times before it goes to a client, well, that's a problem. And somebody needs to give you tough love to say, look, have enough humility to be able to recognize where you have an issue. And your sentence structure, I don't even have words for it. I don't know how else to fix it, but to maybe even get you an English tutor. I've even had to say that to an intern where I was like, I know you just graduated, but I think there were probably more writing classes that you should have taken, because this isn't even, if you read it out loud, I'm not sure what it is you're hearing, but if I'm on the other end of this email, I am not thinking that you are intelligent at this point, and they were like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I'm saying this from the heart. Let's do this together. And I even went and got like a 5th and 6th grade grammar book for myself. Like, look, these are the rules. It's not me writing them. These are the actual rules of sentence structure and writing, and I'm going to do this with you. And so I realized that there's only so much that you can do, and it's going to lead to some insecurities as a leader when you see that there are certain things that they can take on and they can't. And at that point, I started getting much better about saying, look, I believe in you and I believe that you will eventually get here. But where the company is, we need someone who absolutely has this skill already down packed so that we could take things to the next level. And I think that has to be an okay thing to do with conversations, because now I'll tell you, the confidence that I have in my team members individually now, because I recognize that you can only teach so much, I don't have as many insecurities about what they're capable of, and I can let them go and let them be free. And that as a leader feels so much better than, can you make sure that you run all the emails by me? I just want to make sure that you put the periods in there, So even understanding that, yes, keep an eye on certain skills and help them grow, but you have to know when you have to cut the cord and just find someone who can do it so that you can lead with more confidence and allow those people to get the job done. And almost 6 years later, gosh, so thankful that that's what we have. So I can concentrate on my work and less on, babysitting the skills of others.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one thing you may have seen as a weakness in yourself in the past that you've turned around and utilized as a strength today?
Yeah, I have to say that one of my weaknesses is that I'm going to be my toughest critic. right? I'm always going to look and say, what can I do better? Okay, great. I'm going to celebrate the wins, but how can we improve this and how can I pass that down? And that leads to a lot of crazy overthinking for just being a perfectionist in that way. How I've made that work for me though, was I took those standards that I put in myself for writing, communicating with clients, running a meeting, giving them notes, making sure that we're accountable. I've turned that into a playbook for the team where it's like, look, guys, over and over again, I've held myself to the standard and it's worked. And our clients love it. And this is how we are going to put certain structures in place so that you guys don't have to think of the ways that you have to do it. I mean, I've worked in other firms where they all report differently or their meeting notes look different to some clients and whatever. And so there's no continuity for training, and that leads to a lot of lost time. And as you know, lost time is lost money. And so I put together playbooks and I tell them, look, follow this. And if ever you find a hole, we work together, we fill in the gap and we make it better. And it keeps improving and improving. And we've gotten to a point to where we even had a potential client who came to me and said, well, this is the software that I'm building for note-taking for clients. I feel like there are a lot of companies who have meetings and people walk away not understanding what the action items are and what they need to do. And he's like, so I've automated that for certain industries. And I was like, what? I was like, well, it sounds like what we're doing right now with our team. And I thought I was going crazy thinking, hey, we need to make sure that after every meeting, everyone knows at the top what the action item is and items were and what was discussed. He goes, well, I'd love to see those notes. And I was like, sure, I can send you a few examples. Sent him examples and he goes, oh my God, this is exactly the problem that I'm trying to solve. I can't believe that this is already what you guys are doing. And he's like, I'd love to use this structure as part of my software. And I was like, please. It baffles me that other companies wouldn't do this after meetings. Like you lose that time where you have a meeting and then people forget what their action items were. And then they need to have another meeting about the meeting because people forgot. It's just lost time. So I guess that's turned into some really great, efficient programs that we have at the company. Obviously, we keep growing them here and there, but yeah, and I think some other people are like, man, why do we have to do this? These are notes and these meetings and reports. It's just accountability. I'm very accountable to myself, which means I need to be accountable to clients and accountable to all of you. And you all need to be just as accountable. So holding everyone to that standard has, it's worked. Not everyone understands it, but I have found that it has helped become the backbone of the success of the company.
Oh, that's awesome. I definitely agree. So what's one piece of advice you can leave with the audience, personal or professional?
Don't give up if you believe in something. Whether that is personal or professional, don't give up. I've seen people, when in your heart and soul, it feels right and it feels like it's something worth pursuing. Don't let other people get in your head. Whether it's about a work opportunity or a opportunity in your career. I've had so many people tell me, oh, well, being a cheerleader, that's, I was a professional NFL cheerleader, and I had people tell me that I couldn't do it. Well, hundreds of people try out. You look too young. You're not going to make it. You don't look like what they're looking for. Mind you, when I was 21, I looked 15, but I tried out anyway. Right? I tried out at 23 looking 17 and I did it. And professionally, people were like, oh, why are you going to start a PR firm in LA? It's so crowded. How are you going to find clients? You should just, you've got a great salary and career. You should stick to that. Don't take the risk. And man, am I glad I didn't pursue that. Same thing with relationships too. I've seen so many people just give up when things get hard. And I've found that when you really talk through things and you really want to make it work, it's possible. So I would say that that's my biggest, set of advice. If you believe in something and everything in your heart and soul tells you to, don't give up on it. Get over the obstacles.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest piece of advice, I would say. So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. If you go to www.nrprgroup.com, you'll find our company website, or www.beverlyhillsboss.com. You'll find access to my book and other advice. If you want to follow me or my company on social media, at Nicole, Nicole RPR is my handle across the board, as well as at NRPR Group across the board on social media for my company.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk from Roman Prokopchuk's Digital Savage Experience podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free, so that's always good. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.